Hey there. So today, I hope my mic is close enough. So we did a live stream earlier today on Oracle and Tarot cards. It's just me for now, but we are going to it's reading day today. So I'm excited to present some books that I have or haven't read for various ages. So this is not all ages. These books are definitely not for every single age, but we've got books ranging all across all the age spectrums. So we are now officially live on Amazon. I have like 20-ish books to go over, so I'm gonna just kind of go over and tell you what the sleeve says. If I've read the book, then I'll make sure to actually summarize the book a little bit more. But I have a huge pile. So the first one is an adult book. I just started this one, and I kind of got swept into a different book, so I put this one on pause. I just wasn't I was sleep deprived, so I haven't really gotten too deep into this book. But so far, I've read probably about 20-ish pages, maybe more actually, probably 50 pages of this book. So this is The Awaken. This is by Caitlin Monroe House. I remember we were doing this over on our podcast, and when we were reviewing it, well, not reviewing it, but when we were summarizing it and reading the publisher notes, we were both, Carrie and I, were just kind of blown away. It feels a little sci-fi. So here's what the sleeve says. I will try to basically summarize this as quickly as possible so you're not listening to me hold up just a plain book. So basically, it's about this cancer patient. She ends up going through cryogenics to get her body frozen. 100 years later, scientists have discovered how to bring the dead back to life. And essentially, this has become a battle of ethics. Those who are resurrected, the Awoken, have been declared illegal and are supposed to be shot on sight. So this is a bit of a dark sci-fi read. Like I said, I just started this book. I had to put on pause. But so far, within the first 50 pages of this book, it has been really intriguing, still a little heart-wrenching too. Like, it's already tugging at my heartstrings. We're talking about a woman, a very young woman named Alabine Rivers. She has cancer and she has a love of her life. She's like 26, or something pretty young, and she's going to die. And being brought back to life and what that experience is like. I haven't gotten too deep into this book yet, but so far in 50 pages, it's written really well. So I wanted to present this to you guys for adult readers. This is definitely a darker read. It's not, I wouldn't call it like an urban fantasy. There's no supernatural elements to it. It's a little sci-fi and a little bit more political as well. So this is set in the United States. So this is the world Alabine is brought into by resurrectionists, a underground militia fighting for the rights of the Awoken, so the people resurrected from the dead. Alone in a completely unfamiliar society, and one where she is an outsider for the first time in her life. So The Awoken is a riveting look at prejudice, complicity, the fears that tear us apart, and the hope that can bring us together. This is going to be a really good read. So far, it already has been. So I wanted to present this book first. This is by Caitlin Monroe House. Very interesting book so far. So that's my first book today. This is for adult readers. This is adult fiction, just so you are aware. Let's move on to the next one on my list. So some of us are still like touring and doing vacations, but something that's really fun, at least for me, as we settle down towards our colder season and we're sitting by fireplaces or candles or dimly lit rooms, I like reading about traveling because I'm stuck at home. So I'm like, I want to travel. This is the Atlas of Dark Destinations. If you're somebody who's wanting to travel and maybe you're a dark tourist, this might be the cool book to have in your arsenal because it is so large. I was very surprised. So this is by Peter Hohenhaus. This is the world of dark tourism. So just an FYI, a bit of a trigger. This does have a lot of World War II, World War I sites on here. So if that's something that's a sensitive topic to you, yeah, I would not further listen to this. But there are other interesting places to go. So here's how the book is kind of broken down. I really like this book. It's really interesting. So we have the Americas and Antarctica, Europe. We have different sections of Europe, as you can see. So like Northern Europe, Central Europe, and that applies to the Americas as well. So we're basically traveling like this is a geographical map, and we can actually pick where each place is. There's Africa, Asia, Australia, the Pacific, all kinds of cool places. So one thing that's interesting is we have, obviously, there's a lot of nuclear sites that are pretty dark in the world, and we get to learn about them. But we have other things, too, that are more paranormal as well. So let me see if I can find some interesting things in here. We have different facts all throughout the book, like volcanology. I'm sure I said that incorrectly. I apologize. There is things like the suicide forest in Japan. Let's see what else we have. We have Devil's Island in, where does it say? Coast of Kourou. I've never heard of this place before. So we have a different dark rating on each place. So this is an 8 out of 10. So pretty dark. We have a history of each, like why this place is considered a dark place. So, and a lot of this, like I said, does have a lot of World War II or World War I associations with it, but not every single one does. But it is pretty dark. Those times were obviously very, very dark. But it's not entirely wartimey, if that makes sense. So let's see if I can find some really creepy other things in here. One thing that comes to mind is like the Skinwalker Ranch here in America. Let's see if I can find that. I bet you I could. But we have here, obviously, is nuclear history, Oklahoma City. Let's see if I can find some more stuff. There's a penitentiary right here. So I like that we get photos all throughout this book. It is quite dark in general for if you are into touring all kinds of really sinister places, dark human history. We even get maps as to where each place is. So if you were to travel to any of these places, like, hey, I'm going to go to Australia today, and let's see how long in 10 days, how many places I can go visit. You can plot that out if you want to truly do a dark tourist thing. This book is really interesting. I want to see if I can find some more supernatural stuff in here. We have things here also, like you'll see here, Vukovar, we have why it's spooky. So for instance, this is where the location is, Eastern Slovenia, but it is about modern war, ruins. There's a cemetery here. And then here, this is an abandoned underground air base. So every place is defined in a specific way. So if you're into dark tourism at all, this would be a really interesting book to have. It's an atlas of dark destinations. A lot of them, like I said, very wartime, World War II, World War I associated sites, but there are other things in here as well. So this is World of Dark Tourism. This is a pretty interesting book with really crazy destinations. Super interesting. All right. So the next book I want to talk about is actually one of my favorites. So this is a adult high fantasy read. So it is called The Black Tongue Thief. This is one of my favorite reads of this entire year. It's really fun if you're looking for an adult fiction read with like a main character who's one of the snarkiest but hilarious characters ever. This is your book. It is so good. It is really good. So it's about Kinch Nashanok, who's a literal black-tongued thief. His race has, like, that's how he's able to distinguish his race, is like they come, like they're born with black tongues. Anyway, so he owes the Takers Guild a small fortune for his education as a thief. And by the way, the Takers Guild is some of the coolest stuff for like Thieves Guild. I love their hierarchy. I love their history. It's really fun. And it's not over-explained. You know, like how Tolkien tends to over-explain things? This is just simple and great and such and profound. It's wonderful. Okay, so Kinch Nashanok's education includes things like lockpicking, knife fighting, wall scaling, fall breaking, lie weaving, and trap making, plus a few magics. His debt has driven him to lie in wait by the Old Forest Road, planning to rob the next traveler. But today, he picked the wrong mark. Now, common enemies and uncommon dangers force this black-tongued thief and a mysterious honor-bound knight on an epic journey where goblins hunger for human flesh, krakens hunt in dark waters, and honor is a luxury few can afford. This is a great read, very high fantasy, fantastic main protagonist, super fun, very quick. I went through this so fast. I was very surprised. And this is the first of, I don't know how many books he's going to do. So this is by Christopher Buehlman. Super fun. This is the Black Tongue Thief. I do recommend it. The environment that they are walking around in as they're traveling, it changes. It's almost like an entire year of adventure and fun. All of his, Kinch's allies are all really powerful women, and there's a sassy lady, there's a really stoic woman. They're all badass. This is a great book, so check it out. This is The Black Tongue Thief, adult fiction, super adult fiction, and it is dark. If you like creepy goblins, this is also kind of up your alley, and giant crows that murder everything. Really, it's really good. All right. So the next book on my pile, because I have a huge pile here, is one that's really popular. This is a YA book, so emphasis on young adult. This is definitely for young adult readers. This is Lark. Lots of people have been raving about this. This is by Alex Astor, who's a TikTok sensation. So I'm pretty far into the book. It is not necessarily for me. But it has me. I've laughed many times. It's been a ride. So let me just share with you, because I think this is great for young adult readers, because they're not going to be nitpicking the storyline as much as I am. Okay, so welcome to Centennial. This initially has some Hunger Games vibes because we have different realms. They're all supposed to fight over stuff. Okay. So every 100 years, the island of Lark appears for only 100 days to host a deadly game. What does this sound like? Where the rulers of 6 realms fight to break their curses and win unparalleled powers. Each ruler has something to hide. Each curse is uniquely wicked. To break them and save themselves, their realms, one ruler will die. To survive, Isla Crown must lie, cheat, betray, even as love complicates everything. All right. Hi, Cookbook Divas. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. So for those of you that just joined me today, it is Happy Reading Day. That is September 6th. This is Reading Day. So let me know what kind of books you guys are actually reading right now, today. It doesn't matter if it's dark or not, but here we do a lot of dark reads. Anyway, so Lark is a young adult read. Like I said, I am probably halfway through this. It is not necessarily a book for me. I'm going to be totally honest here. But as far as young adults, yes, I can see this being very appealing. It has very strong categories of people. We have starlings. We have wildlings. We have little, I think they call them reapers. But yeah, each realm has a specific category of people. They all have special powers that are associated with their realm. Like Celeste is clearly a starling from the starry realm. We have Azul, who's a skyling from the sky. So there's a lot of characters. If you've got young adult readers who really like very hard categorizations, kind of like Avatar, The Last Airbender, where you've got the Fire Nation and the Air Nation, etc. As far as how dark it is, there are dark things in here. So the main character, Isla, I think is what they say. Isla actually has to eat hearts. She has to eat 1 heart a month because that's just what she has to do. So there are a lot of darker elements. Isla is she's awesome. She's probably, it could be more nitty gritty, but it's not. I would say Hunger Games is definitely more of that nitty gritty aspects of it that this doesn't have, because Isla is she's awesome, but she's not gritty about it. She's kind of she's really kind of a good person. I don't know how else to describe it. This is a TikTok sensation, like I said. Lots of people have been digging it. Some people haven't. I'm kind of on the other end of it. But if you've got a young adult reader who likes a lot of this kind of themes, badass warriors, especially an awesome protagonist, enemies to lovers, really interesting world building, check this one out. It's Light Lark, YA book, Alex Astor. Check it out. Okay. My next book, let's see. Oh, hey, convenient. It's right here. This one has been on my bookshelf for a really long time, and it's really hefty. So I've been wanting to read it. I haven't yet, but so far it's done really, really well. It came out, I believe, last year, maybe. But this is another high fantasy. This is the first book of this series. Sorry about my sticker. But I love the cover, and here is the premise of the story. So we have a gifted student foretells an apocalypse. Her reward is a sentence of death. So they flee into the unknown, and she is drawn to a team of outcasts: a broken soldier, a drunken prince, an imprisoned thief who escapes the crushing dark and discovers a gleaming artifact, one that will ignite a power struggle across the globe. On the run, hunted by enemies old and new, they must learn to trust each other in order to survive in a world evolved in strange, beautiful, and deadly ways, and uncover ancient secrets that hold the key to their salvation. But with each passing moment, doom draws closer. So again, another high fantasy book. Let's see. We do have an awesome map here. Here we go. I'm kind of a sucker for maps, especially in fantasy books. I just think they need them. Thank you, Tolkien, for starting that trend. Maybe he wasn't the first, but here we have a map. Obviously, I'm really drawn to the storyline. It sounds really interesting. And I thought I saw some illustrations in here. I think I did. But this one sounds really interesting. Here we go. Cool illustrations inside this book, too. So we have, obviously, made creatures by James Rollins. They've obviously created their own monsters. This one looks really interesting, like a mole mixed with a tiger. Here, I think I've seen a couple other illustrations in here, but interesting world. I am drawn to dark fantasies. Here we go. Here's another one. Another interesting, tiger dog creature. So this one is around 500-600 pages long. Ooh, here's a bat. Here, let me share it with you. This is awesome. I wonder how big that is. I'm so excited. So I love the different creatures in here, different fantasy stuff. Let's see, what else do we have in here? This is it's bold and brilliant, epic fantasy. It's kind of a little creepier than most things. So full of magic and danger. If that's something that's up your alley, if you're looking for a cool fantasy series, a big fantasy, check this one out. This is The Starless Crown. Sounds interesting. I love a group of misfits put together in a world, and they're supposed to save it somehow. I don't know how that works, but it does every single time. All right, so check this one out. This is The Starless Crown. Now, let me move on to something else. This one, I'm going to try to share my screen. I hope I can do it. I'm not very good at this myself. Okay. Did I do that correctly? I don't know if I did. Okay, yes, I did. All right. So this next one, I just finished reading. We did a little mini-sode podcast episode. You can find it down below. This is Bona. So this book is, this one's a really interesting book. So this is by Ottessa Moshfegh. It is really gross. It is one of the most grotesque books I think I've read probably ever. And I've read some pretty dark stuff. This is about a medieval fiefdom. It's a fantasy village named Bona, and we're following a multitude of characters. William is the lord of the fiefdom. I would call him a clown king. He's not, I don't take him seriously at all. We have a couple other characters. We have, need to remember a few things. So I remember Ina, who is the village witch, essentially. She is one of my favorite characters. We're also following a couple other people. Jude, who is the father of Merrick. Merrick is our main character. He starts off in the village as being like 13 years old, 13 or 14 years old, and Jude is his father. So we start off in spring, and the book goes through an entire year of living in Bona. And lots of things happen in this book. For instance, there's cannibalism, drought, famine. There's almost every terrible thing in this book that you can possibly imagine. So this is not for the faint of heart. I wanted to mention it because it is a really dark book, and we are covering an entire cycle of an entire year. There's a lot of gross, weird stuff happening. It's not necessarily for everybody. It kind of explores the worst parts of man, I would say. So definitely check this one out if you are kind of a weird, creepy person like myself. I just wanted to bring that one up because it's a little controversial. Some people love the book. A lot of people hate the book. So we'll see. Let me know what you think of Bona. The next one I'm going to share with you, some of you may or may not enjoy, but this is a classic, and I like to get back into reading in general since it is reading day. I like to read a lot of comic books, mangas, etc. So Guillo is a classic by Junji Ito, and I have all of his stuff. So Uzumaki and Tomie, I also have those. Guillo is another one. This is a great introduction to Junji's stuff. It's really dark and surreal, I would say. So check this one out. I love the box set. This actually is a great gift option if you have people in your life who really love manga, horror manga, and want to get into more of Junji Ito's stuff. So here we go. I will share with you some of these pages. His artwork is really great. You can tell, especially in like Tomie, you can tell how he grows as an artist. It's actually really amazing how much detail is in towards the end of his books versus the beginning of his books. Like I said, they're really surreal. They're not quite up in your face creepy, but they can be. Like here's a bit of a image that's a little disturbing. I'm going to try it. Okay, there you go. There it is. It's creepy, right? It's very creepy. So there's a lot of sinister stuff in this. This is clearly not for people who can't handle bugs. But here on Dark Side of the Library, we do a lot of dark stuff, obviously. So I had to share Junji Ito's stuff just because he is the horror Japanese manga artist, storyteller. So here's what Guillo is actually about. The floating smell of death hangs over the island. What is it? A strange-legged fish appears on the scene. So begins Tadashi and Kaori's spiral into the horror and stretch of the sea. Here's the creepiest masterpiece of horror manga ever from the creator of Uzumaki, Junji Ito. Hold your breath until all is revealed. I have not. I really would love to sit down and read all of them. But this is some sinister stuff, like just some weird, creepy stuff. Check out Guillo. It's a really awesome manga. All of his stuff is great. Guillo is particularly creepy for me, I guess. Maybe not for everybody, but for me. Junji Ito just taps something really weird in my brain where it's like, I don't know how he thinks of this stuff sometimes. It's just like, where do you go in your head to think about this? So these are really great for horror manga lovers out there. Okay, so my next book that I wanted to share with you, I haven't read this one yet, so this is another YA book. So we're going back to the YA realm of things. This one had a beautiful cover. I was really drawn to it. I got this at the bookstore. So I was like, what is this? So clearly this has some romance in it. How could you tell? The cover. All right, so 3 weddings, 3 funerals. Alessa's gift from the gods is supposed to magnify a partner's magic, not kill every suitor she touches. Now, with only weeks left until a hungry swarm of demons devours everything on her island home, Alessa is running out of time to find a partner and stop the invasion. When a powerful priest convinces the faithful that killing Alessa is the island's only hope, her own soldiers try to assassinate her. Desperate to survive, Alessa hires Dante, you know where this is going, a cynical outcast marked as a killer, to become her personal bodyguard. But as rebellion explodes outside the gates, Dante's dark secrets may be the biggest betrayal. He holds the keys to her survival and her heart, but he is the one person who can help her master her gift or destroy her once and for all. So I showed you guys Light Lark, and as far as like reviews go, Light Lark has about a 3-star, whereas Vicious Grace has a 4.5 star. I wouldn't ordinarily pick this one up in general. Like it the summary clearly is like, it's fine, but it has some decent reviews. So I was very intrigued. Sometimes I like to have a really easy breezy YA book. Guilty pleasure of having, cynical men named Dante, woo some magical, powerful lady. I don't know, but check this one out. It's beautiful. This has a really cool cover, straightforward, not too big. I think this would be great for a lot of darker fantasy readers out there, YA readers, obviously. Great gift option, but a great way to start off the fall. I think school actually just started here for us today. So this is a great high school student read, or just, if you're like me and you just enjoy the guilty pleasure YA novel. Check this one out. So The Vicious Grace, this is by Emily Theed. This is done pretty well as far as reviews go. All right, so the next book, oh my God. Okay, I'm really excited. So Slew Foot. I devoured this book last year. So this one came out last year, and I believe it might have actually been around this time during fall. So if you're looking for a witchy read, this is for adults. This is by Brom. So there are pieces of art in here that I will share with you guys in just a second. But this one is the perfect autumn witchy read ever. This is basically what I would love for colonial, period time witches. This is what I wished would have happened. Not like, let's burn all the witches and hang them, etc. This is what I would rather have. It's really good. Okay, so this is based in America. So let me just briefly read the summary for you guys. All right, so this is from Connecticut, 1666. Oh, 666. An ancient spirit awakens in a dark wood. The wild folk call him Father, Slayer, Protector. The colonists call him Slew Foot, Demon and Devil. To Abatha, a recently widowed outcast, alone and vulnerable in her pious village, he is the only one she can turn to for help. So you can see this really creepy, drawing here. All of the artwork in here is done by Brom, by the way. I love his stuff. It's full of fiction, mythology. He references a lot of Native American mythology in here, which is really, really interesting. It actually I started researching it more. Here we have a picture of Abatha, our main protagonist in here. So Abatha is labeled a witch really early. She's a very smart woman. She's a skeptic. She also just doesn't want to be overpowered by a dude. She doesn't want to be told what to do, especially by her widow, her husband who passed. Her husband's brother, who is a total jerk, the worst. So according to law, apparently she can become his property. Here's some more creepy, sinister creatures that you will find in here based on some Native American lore, some also just from Brom's brain. This is really great because there's a story with Abatha that becomes kind of I would say, a big tale of American folklore. It's not based on anything, by the way. I'm not saying that. But you could see the way he writes, it could be. And that's what's really cool about this book. And you see Abatha growing and what happens to her and what happens to the village. And this is exactly what kind of witch book I would be after. It's really great. I assure you, Brom does an amazing job. and you get really cool artwork all throughout the book. It's really great. It's an easy read. So check out Slew Foot. This is perfect for autumn. I cannot emphasize this enough. So Slew Foot's great. One of my favorites. Definitely going back and reading this probably in the next year, I would say. Halloween would be the perfect time. So Slew Foot by Brom. All right, so the next one I wanted to just share with you guys because Hocus Pocus is coming out really soon. I think it's September 30th is what we established on our previous live stream. Hopefully I can find it. I'm going to present to you guys a cookbook because I know for me, oh no, I don't think I added it. I meant to. Okay, so I even typed it in. Okay, so I'm going to back out real fast. So I actually most of us, I would say, love to bake and whatever during the colder season just because even more so right now with Hocus Pocus because it is coming out September 30th. So I wanted to present this book to you guys. So hold on a second. Let me get back to the live stream and I'll be able to put it into the carousel for you guys. It is the unofficial Hocus Pocus cookbook. So there's a lot of Hocus Pocus stuff coming out. This one's really great, perfect for right now because you can have a whole entire Hocus Pocus party. So cookbooks are, you can also check us out on our Cookbook Divas channel, which Carrie, I wish if she is still here, make sure to drop a note where Cookbook Divas is because as we are approaching cold season, we're going to be in our kitchens a lot. At least I am. All right. So here's some of the table of contents. These are all based on Hocus Pocus stuff. So here's recipes for Salem townsfolk. Here we have a baked witch casserole. This is salty sweet caramel corn. A lot of these recipes are pretty easy, so you can create an entire awesome meal and watch the first Hocus Pocus movie and then go to see Hocus Pocus 2 in theaters. That would be such a blast. Here you can see all the list of ingredients here, cook time, prep time, etc., what it is. All separated out. Here we have, let's get some more photos. Popcorn balls. I'm not a huge fan of candy corn, but if you're a fan of candy corn, this one would probably be really tasty. Here we have, so some of these recipes are pretty simple too. They're not necessarily Hocus Pocus-y, but we have names. So like a spell for flayed and crispy breast of chicken. So it's really cute. Here we have all of our ingredients again. Here's our instructions. Big, giant, beautiful photos. Let's see. Here we have shush kababy kebabs. God, these are so corny. I love it. Here we have a red velvet tombstone cake recipe. So again, I wanted to just present this because Hocus Pocus is coming out, and we love cookbooks here too. There's a lot of really dark, sinister cookbooks out there, and as Halloween approaches, I know I'm going to be making some of these Hocus Pocus recipes, especially before Hocus Pocus 2 comes out. It'll be awesome. Circle of salt margarita. Wow, that looks really good. Here's a witch's brew espresso martini. Pretty simple. But this one, Bloody Mary's pick-me-up. Ooh, Airhead Virgin Mocktail. Adorable. All right, so that just really quick. This is the unofficial Hocus Pocus cookbook. I know it's not really reading, but it's still a book. We got to appreciate our cookbooks too. All right. So let me move on, but I'm going to drink a sip of coffee first. All right, a kid's book this time. So this is for mid-level readers. This is called the Clackety. Let me get back to my carousel. It's hard to do this carousel thing. I kind of hate it sometimes. Okay, here we go. The Clackety. This is by Laura Senth. So here's what it is about. Some shadows are best left in the dark. Evie Von Rath lives in Blight Harbor, the 7th most haunted town in America, with her aunt Desdemona, the local paranormal expert. Des has only one rule: stay out of the abandoned slaughterhouse at the edge of town. But when Des goes missing, Evie has no choice but to enter the ominous building. There she meets the Clackety, a shifty creature that lives in the shadows and seems of the slaughterhouse. The unsettling entity will help Evie get Des back, but for a price. She must find the ghost of John Jeffrey Pope, a serial killer who once terrorized Blight Harbor long ago. This is for mid-level readers. This is actually kind of a heftier book. It is, let's see, I think around 300, almost 300 pages long. This is really, really fun. So this is a kind of a twisty story for mid-level readers. So from somewhere deep in the shadows, a hand reached out. My brain told me the hand was too far away from the face to belong to the same creature, but it had to, because the thing smiled wider and gave me a little wave. It had too many joints in its long fingers, and they made a click, 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 click when they bent. I screamed. It's a cute poem. So this is a fun way to get kids into the spooky season. If you've got fearless readers out there that really want a kind of a creepy tale, this one's really fun. It's a wild adventure from what I've read. It has great reviews. And I know that a lot of us are teachers or homeschooling our kids. And some of the best things you can do for kids while trying to get into the Halloween spirit is to just present some really fun, creepy books. Like, that's just a great way to get into the groove. So check out the Clackety. This is a great read. I love the art on the book. It's so much fun. Definitely Halloween-y and creepy. Look at the back too. That's a house with a creepy smile, or a barn or a shed or something. It's awesome. So if you have any creepy or mid-level readers that like ghostly tales, the Clackety is the best. All right. So next one. This is a comic, but it's big. So this is like a giant. I wouldn't call it a graphic. I mean, it is a graphic novel, but it's just it's monstrous. It is monstrous. So this is by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda. Amazing stuff. This is for adult readers. So if you're into comic books, this is going to be a really cool read. It is about really sinister and evil witches, a matriarchal society. There's like animal folk, cat folk. There are sinister, godlike creatures in here. Sorry, you got to see a butt. That is not what I meant to do. It is violent. I'm trying to see if I can find a page. There's some violence in here. Sorry, blood, gore. We're at the dark side of the library. We also have, it's kind of steampunk-esque with fantasy in it. Our main protagonist is really... So you'd think that she would be really sweet. So you can see, here's our main protagonist. Here's this creepy monster. She's beautiful and whatnot, but she is evil. Like, she is actually super, super evil. So here's some more art. This book won a lot of awards in 2007, I think. I could be, or is it 17? I might have missed the one. So it might be 2017. Monstrous has won a ton of awards. Neil Gaiman has given it kudos. Hi, Rosie. Nice to see you again. Books. Yes, we're doing lots of books today. So I'm presenting Monstrous. This is actually one of my, has become one of my favorite, more contemporary comic books. I took a bit of a comic hiatus for a really long time in my 20s, and now I'm getting back into it. And this has become a fast favorite. There's a lot of gory scenes in this comic, so I'm trying not to share like all the gore because I can't. But if you're into that stuff, it's, like I said, very fantasy-esque. Really interesting world that they've created here. Here's that sinister monster again. But again, very steampunk-y. A lot of the pages have a tea-tinted thing going on here. Here's more of that creepy, sinister creature with multiple eyes. This is a great story. So let me see if I can find... Okay, so Micah Halfwolf lives in a world gripped by war, an alternate matriarchal 1900s, Asia brimming with arcane dangers. As she struggles to overcome the trauma of violence and regain knowledge of her past, she becomes inextricably linked to an eldritch monster of tremendous power. This link will transform them both and place them in the crosshairs of deadly powers, both human and otherworldly. So this is a huge collection of just the first volume. I think they're ending the entire comic series this year, so I'm anticipating we'll see a giant monstrous novel. I would probably imagine next year. So keep this one in mind. It's really great, really fun, beautiful artwork, really violent and gory, but also kind of cute in places. So check it out. This is by Sana Takeda and Marjorie Liu. It's Monstrous. It is definitely one of my favorites. All right. We are going to talk about this is a kid's book, but bear with me here. It's a weird kid's book. I would not have thought that this is actually for children. So hold on. I need to find it in my carousel. My carousel got short. I don't know how that happened. Okay, here it is. Oh, gotta refresh. All right, so this is A World of Weird, a creepy compendium of true stories. This is for children, but I learned a lot so far while reading through this. As you can tell, it's a little sinister. I love the gold all around this book. I think if you're trying to learn creepy stories, this is great for all ages. All right, masquerade masks, for instance. So we get a little bit of knowledge about them. Oh, let me start from the beginning. That would make the most sense, right? So it is divided up into certain contents. So we have artificialia, naturalia, oh my goodness, spiritualis, Latin stuff. Lots of Latin names here. I'm not doing it all. Death, I know that one. All right, so here we have masks. Interesting stuff. So we have different masks from all across the world. So Persia, Aztec masks, and the history behind each mask. So I know that's not terribly creepy, but we have other things that are creepy in this book. All right, so we have like human remains. We have like Christ's blood, hand of glory, Galileo's finger, all of those things in this book. Yes, this is for kids. Here we have spirits in the head. So weird, like, I don't know how to say this correctly, and I need to figure out how. It's trepanning or something like that. So this is an archaeological find here. Here's how the Mayan skulls were. Really interesting history here. Here we have off with his head. So different torturing techniques, different decapitation techniques. I mean, for real, this is crazy. These are all things that I just like. Some of these things I've never even heard of, or some of these things I was like, whoa. Here we have punishment. So this is actual like torture stuff, but they do it in a way to introduce the history, because humanity has a brutal history. We have to admit that. But they do it in a way where it's more informational and it's not creeping kids out or being, really weird about it. But this is stuff that's, that is a part of our history. We have like the dentist cap, a dental key, all kinds of weird stuff in this book. So this is The World of Weird, a creepy compendium of true stories. This is by Dr. McCreeber, and apparently Dr. McCreeber, as it says, is a Victorian explorer, philosopher, and collector of strange and creepy from 19th century England. It's interesting. So all of this stuff is being compiled after 125 years of just being in his attic. So crazy cool stuff. Check this one out. This one's really fun. And I don't know. I was a weird kid, and there was weird things I would always ask my parents, and that would just be a great way to be like, here, kid, learn a few things. All right. The next book, again, this one's for kids too, but this one's really informational and really fun. If you're trying to teach your kids about the classics and classic horror authors, check this out. This is Dark Hearts. We have the most famous horror authors listed in this book. So like Stephen King, Anne Rice, Thomas Harris, H.P. Lovecraft, all of our people, Shirley Jackson. So here we have an illustration of H.P. Lovecraft. And then we get a history of H.P. Lovecraft in the book that's obviously palatable for kids. But I like that we get a bit of a, we're learning about all of these amazing authors. But in a way that kids can also enjoy. And also, it's just a great way to introduce these beautiful authors to kids when they are curious about, you know, where did vampires come from? That's like a question my niece has asked me, and she's 7. Just like trying to teach them about all Bram Stoker and these people that have created these wild creatures. Anne Rice, rest in peace. I love the different illustrations here on the side. Every person has their own. So like Clive Barker has his own, you know. So this is a really fun book. It's a great collector. Neil Gaiman's even featured in here, which is amazing. He does children's books. So knowing who the author is behind these children's books, like the Graveyard Book, would be great for kids. Like, who is this amazing person? Aspiring writers would totally dig this book. So this one's really great. This is the history of the authors. It's not any of their stories or short stories. The history of dark horror authors. This is Dark Hearts. This is by Jim Gigliotti. This is a great collector. Plus, the cover is just phenomenal. I mean, look at this. This is just so cool. It has all kinds of weird horror symbolism all throughout. So this one's really great. So next one, we have, speaking of classics, another great way to introduce people or kids or whoever to classics is graphic novels. So let me get this in the carousel down below. We have The Call of Cthulhu. I'm really excited to dig into this because I actually haven't read the story. Shame on me. I know. Shame. Okay, so The Call of Cthulhu. Let's look inside. This is illustrated by Dave Shepard. This is H.P. Lovecraft's story, true story. But I think obviously it's made into graphic novel type, you know, a graphic. Oh, maybe not. Look at that massive text. The art is beautiful as well. So this is probably really awesome just in general if you've never, I mean, for me. So this is just a huge text of The Call of Cthulhu all listed out. And then the artist actually just translated some of those scenes into graphic novel form. That's really cool. Okay, so here's some more. Here we go. There he is. Beautiful. Oh man, so there is conversations, all that stuff. Fun. Here, let's look at some more stuff here. Really amazing art for sure. This is a really fun book for, I would even say, I don't think it's too grotesque for mid-level readers even. I mean, it's a little violent, but nothing like adult reads for sure. Great introduction to H.P. Lovecraft's Call of Cthulhu. Let's do a few more pages. Let's see if I can actually get Cthulhu. Yes, here he is. Beautiful. What a great scene. That's awesome. All right. So that is The Call of Cthulhu. This is H.P. Lovecraft's story. It's not like a retold story. This is his story. The Call of Cthulhu and Dagon, graphic novel. If you're into all of those creepy eldritch horrors, this is for you for sure. Next one we have, let's see if I can find it. Okay, so this is for this is for adults. This is called Dark Stars, New Tales of Darkest Horror by some of the more contemporary horror authors out there. So I read this and it's pretty good. I would say in general, I mean, some stories are hit or miss, but in general, it's a pretty decent read. So this is an anthology of different short stories. Let's see. So we have featured here, Caroline Kepnes is the same author who wrote the series You, like, you know, the creepy stalker guy from Netflix, You. She has a story in here. She's the first story, actually. We have Cessna Burke, Alma Katsu, who I believe is The Ring. I could be wrong. She wrote The Ring. Maybe I'm wrong. I think, don't quote me. I think I'm wrong. I know Alma Katsu, but for some reason I can't. Okay. So we also have Josh Mallerman. There is Ramsey Campbell, who's just kind of an icon in the horror community. We have John F.D. Taft, which his story was really just, it was a lot. So we have things in here from vampires to summer lake time horrors to weird, grotesque diseases, different stories, but these are really interesting. Stephen Graham Jones also contributes to this book. So the guy who did the Chainsaw, My Heart is a Chainsaw, big book last year. Anyway, so this book, all of the authors were writing these stories during COVID, so when everybody was shut down. So a lot of these stories are definitely weird. They're surreal. They're not quite what you would expect in horror. There's not a lot of jump scare stuff. It's really atmospheric, and a very different way to look at horror. So the whole point of this anthology is to expand our definition of what horror means. So it's really great. These stories are very distinct. Some of them might hit you really hard. Some of them, I wasn't a huge fan of the Ramsey Campbell story, for instance, which was like a fever dream. So everybody is going to have a different reaction to each story, which is very cool, which is very horror. So if you want an anthology, which I personally love, because you can read a book, a story, and then you just set it down for a really long time. Sometimes we don't have time for these big, giant epics, and you just want like a short little creepy tale. That's all you want. So if you want that, check this one out. This does have really interesting stories in here. This is Dark Stars, and there's a lot of contemporary horror authors contributing to this particular book. All right, so the next book I want to share with you, this one is not like a fiction read. This is for adults. This one is called The Night School. So as night is getting longer for a lot of us, if you are somebody who wants to start practicing mindfulness exercises, settling down, or maybe borderline witchy stuff, this might be a really cool book to contribute to your personal library if you're trying to look into doing just some stuff, activities. So this is by Maya Toll. This is really interesting. It is kind of laid out like a school. So we actually get to enjoy the magic of nighttime. Here we have beautiful illustrations inside, as you can see. But these are lessons in moonlight, magic, and the mysteries of being human. It actually is really cool. We are called fireflies, I think, throughout the book. Little firefly. So instead of like little grasshopper, it's little firefly, and it's really cool. Magic is everywhere. To see it and the effects it has on your life change the way you perceive the world. This is a bit like a self-help book, but it's also, it mixes in that magic element with it. So here we have the table of, let me see. Welcome to night school. Let's see if I can find the table of contents real quick. We have orientation, semester 1, semester break. So she lays it out like a school, which is really fun. So you have, here's what semester 1 looks like. We have Midnight Foundation, so Philosophy 101. There's Psychology 101. There's Divination 101. Semester 2 is Divination Lab, Alchemy 101, Energetic Engineering. We also have final exams, etc., etc. She lists out different tools you will need. So, for instance, salt, a rattle, I suppose, is one. A pocket compass, pendulums, tarot or oracle decks, which, by the way, Night School has its own tarot, or I believe it's an oracle deck, technically. But they have their own as well if you want to check that out. There's a scrying mirror. So this is a lot of mix of witchy and mindfulness. So here is the mysteries of being human, different exercises throughout. So here we have lesson, this is 2, the experimenter affects the experiment. So we get to learn different little facets of humanity, essentially. Here's a Maslow's hierarchy, which is pretty famous. We have a bunch of cool stuff. Mysticism, psychology, philosophy, all mixed in one book and at night. So it's cool. It's very awesome and very beautiful. Check it out. This is Night School by Maya Toll. I highly recommend it if you're trying to take some time during fall and winter time as things start to, get darker. We're not partying as much, or maybe we are, but like settling down for the night and just kind of wanting to sit with silence a bit. This is a great guide. I like this book. It's really fun. I can't wait to dive into it a lot more than I have so far. So Night School, Maya Toll. And let's see, I'm going to do one more. Oh, no, I have time for a couple more. Okay. This one's a children's book. So like I was saying earlier, some of us are, at home homeschooling our kids and trying to get into the kind of like the spooky season, especially younger kids. So we have The Witchlings Witch. This is by Lou Fraser and Sarah Massany. This is fun because it's really light. It's whimsical, but it has like slight spooky elements in here. So this is what will it take for the little witchling to make a friend? Aw. So here's some of the art. Look at her cute little house. So it almost looks like this book would be great for Christmas time, like very cold winter time. But it has a lot of cool, fun things that make it really fall oriented, like cute little mushrooms. It's just a really cute, adorable book. Now, the little witchling don't mind the beetles in her bed, and she didn't mind the drip, drip, drip of the water on her head. But deep inside her witchling heart, there was an empty space. I wish I had a friend, she sighed, to fill this lonely place. Oh. So I know from personal experience, when I was in school, even though I went to a private school and had the same students there every day or every year, sometimes I would feel really lonely. And this is a great book for kids who maybe feel a little ostracized or, might be just a little different and really wants to kind of fill that void of loneliness a little bit. So I can't grow one. I can't sew one. She'll cast a spell and magic one instead. Cute. So she opened up her spell book and she checked her shopping list for all the things she'd need to weave a friendship making list or wish. So here's some more really cute stuff. I love that she has like frosty, magic-y spells. So this is great for the entire cold season. A bear. I'm so excited. I'm not going to spoil the entire book for you. I'll just share with you one more page. Look at it. So pretty. The art is really great in this book. This is great for a lot of younger kids. So check this one out, The Witchlings Witch, about making friends and, dealing with kind of that loneliness that some of us have dealt with in our lifetimes, especially as little ones. So check this out, A Witchlings Witch. This is by Lou Fraser and Sarah Massany. And I think the last book I'm going to talk about today is called, let me find it. Okay, we're going to do this one. It's The Book Eaters. This is by Sonia Dean. Let me find it. Here we go. This one has pretty great reviews. This is adult literary fiction. This is literally about book eating, book eaters. Apologize for the coffee. So here, I'll just read it because I'm not going to do it justice. All right. Out on the Yorkshire moors lives a secret line of people for whom books are food. They are food. Can you imagine eating books? And who retain all the book's contents after eating it. So imagine if you could eat every single book and you get all of that information into, like, you could learn Japanese. You could just eat a book about learning Japanese and you just know Japanese. That's how this world works. All right. So to them, spy novels are a peppery snack. Romance are sweet and delicious. Eating a map can help them remember destinations. And children, when they misbehave, are forced to eat dry, musty pages from dictionaries. So Devon is part of the family, an old and reclusive clan of book eaters. Her brothers grew up feasting on stories of valor and adventure. And Devon, like all book eater women, was raised on a carefully curated diet of fairy tales and cautionary stories. So this book is it is a little dark, for sure. There's a lot of dark themes in this book, but this is more about a tale about being a woman, discovering who you are. I mean, even your gender identity, your sexuality to that extent, but also just the world that we're born in, or at least book eaters. and the kind of stories that we are told and how to be, and we are only limited to those stories, where a whole set of other people can explore and do a whole bunch of other things. So it's a really interesting read. I'm about halfway through this book. It slowed down a little bit for me, so I had to take a tiny break. But it's so far, like, the story has been really fascinating, really interesting. It wasn't as dark as I anticipated it being, but it's still fairly fun. It's kind of a chase novel at times. So check this one out. This is Book Eaters by Sonia Dean. It's got great reviews, as you can see down below in the carousel. If you're looking for really interesting literary fiction, this is for adults, for sure. Adults. So this is the Book Eaters. Maybe I have time for one more, and it is a comic. We're going to end with a comic today, and I don't care. Okay, we're going to end with Dracula, because why not? I love comics. Oh, I accidentally linked the Spanish version. There is clearly a English version as well. But this is the classic tale, the Bram Stoker Dracula tale, but in comic form. So if you're somebody like me who likes comic books and kind of needs like a visual reference, sometimes this is a great introduction to Dracula, people who've never read Dracula, or people that just want a visual. So here we have amazing art. I love it. It is so good. I have to filter out some of these things because it's Dracula. And there's blood, because Dracula. So I love the illustrations. I really love the freaky mansion here. Here we go. Ooh, pretty. Super cool. So we have I don't know if this is the all of Dracula. This might be half of Dracula. I think there's a part 2. But it is creepy. It's great for the spooky season coming up. If you have somebody who's really curious about Dracula or vampires, you have to introduce them to Dracula. It's a must-have. So check this one out. This is a comic version. It's really fun. Fun, awesome Dracula art. I love his shiny teeth. I mean, for real, that's ridiculous. I love it. Okay, so this one's by Russell Punter and Valentina Forlini. I have not actually read this one yet. I have a different Dracula graphic novel. They're pretty awesome. I really do love Dracula in comic form. All right, you guys, for those of you that just joined me today, make sure to give me a follow if you like the Halloween aesthetic or any creepy reads. If you like dark stuff, witchy stuff, tarot cards, all kinds of stuff. We are going to be doing a lot more live streams as Halloween starts popping up. So if you want notifications of that, you have to follow to get those notifications. Thank you so much for watching this live stream today. Hopefully I'll see you guys soon. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and happy reading today.